The pandemic. Man, y'all remember the pandemic, right? Shit, what most of us remember about the pandemic was that it was a time of loss. Some of us lost our jobs due to the whole world shutting down overnight. Some of us lost our friends due to having to be stuck in the house. Some of us lost our significant others due to having to be stuck in the house with that significant other. And some of us even lost our damn mind due to the unending isolation we all had to endure. Yeah, the pandemic was definitely a time of loss for most of us. But did you know there was a whole other side to the pandemic? That's right. Some people ain't lose shit during the pandemic. Matter of fact, some people gained way more in the pandemic than they ever gained in their whole lives. That's because in the streets, the only thing that matters is hustling. Get it how you live. Make a way out of no way. And the pandemic provided plenty of ways to chase the bag. What's up, YouTube? I'm a stone-faced ape. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have a lot to talk about. First off, I want to thank everybody who's watching this video right now, everybody who watched the video in the past, and everybody who will watch a video in the future. The support means so much to me, and it's why I'm dedicated to putting out quality videos that don't waste your time, because your time is valuable. Please like, please subscribe. It's only going to get better from here. But enough all that, let's get to the content. From drug dealing to fraud to retail theft and scalping, the pandemic offered so many ways for criminals to achieve a payday. The story I'm about to break down is 100% true and was going on all around you. You just didn't peep game. Probably because you were too busy just trying to survive the bizarre reality of life during COVID lockdowns. Shit, I know I was. But while we were just trying to make ends meet, there were some people who were breaking the fucking bank. The pandemic ushered in a new age where billions of dollars flooded the streets overnight. Drug prices were at an all-time high, and warehouses were easy targets waiting to be robbed. Welcome to the Bandemic. Real quick, I need to explain some basic information for my viewers who may be unfamiliar with the streets. I'm going to explain what the streets are and what ultimately fuels it, alright? The streets is just another term for the criminal underworld. People who choose to make a living largely through illegitimate means. The only rule of the streets is that you survive. There's something called the opportunity structure theory, and it states that deviance arises when individuals lack legitimate means to achieve societal success. Most people who are in the streets come from very fucked up environments, and they feel the only way they can live a comfortable life is to break the law, since they don't have the advantage of coming from a financially stable home. They don't have family members who own businesses or have connections to universities or what have you. A lot of people in the streets come from broken homes. Most of the people around them have little education, and crime is just a normal part of life. None of this excuses their dishonest activities, but it does help to explain why things are the way they are. There's something else called routine activity theory, and it states that crime occurs when three elements converge in time and space: a motivated offender, a suitable target, and the absence of a capable guardian. Poverty is what creates motivated offenders. This is why no matter what country you travel to, most of the crime is taking place in the most impoverished areas. America is no exception. Supply and demand fuels the streets. If people want it, the streets will provide it for a price. This demand is what dictates what will be considered a suitable target. The absence of a capable guardian is why the hood is the hood. Absentee fathers, irresponsible mothers, an apathetic government, etc. All of these things amount to the absence of a capable guardian, and it's why criminal activity is allowed to continuously thrive in the hood. Routine activity theory very clearly explains why all the crimes and schemes you're going to learn about in this video transpired in the first place. Ultimately, everybody is chasing a dollar. Everybody wants the American dream, and in the hood, you got to get it however you can get it. Again, I'm not making excuses for criminal behavior. I'm just explaining why these things happen in the first place. Now that you've received a crash course in Hood Economics 101, let's explore how the pandemic impacted the streets, starting with the sudden influx of a ridiculous amount of cold, hard cash. In March of 2020, the whole world came to a complete stop almost overnight. The pandemic. A business could have been operating every day for 40 plus years and then suddenly nothing. No product, no customers, no income. And we're not just talking about a handful of businesses or a specific industry either. During the pandemic, 43% of all small to mid-sized businesses in America reported severe impacts due to pandemic shutdowns and supply chain nightmares. On top of that, 30% of American workers experienced some level of job or income disruption during COVID. The American government knew that if something wasn't done soon, America could find itself in a second Great Depression. So what do you do in this situation? Well, there's really only one thing you can do. Make it rain. On March 27, 2020, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or the CARES Act, was signed into law. This act was passed in the Senate on a 96-0 vote. This was a completely bipartisan issue. Every single politician understood that a massive amount of money needed to get into the hands of Americans or the country would face total economic destruction. The CARES Act was the largest economic stimulus package in American history as it authorized $2 trillion in economic aid. That's trillion with a T. The government didn't just make it rain, they made it thunderstorm. The CARES Act was designed to get money out to the American public immediately. Because of this, a lot of standard protocol was bypassed. A lot of security and verification was relaxed. And this was exactly what the hustlers and fraudsters in the streets would exploit. Let's go ahead and start this off right by diving into the scam that was the talk of the town during the pandemic, the PPP scam. The Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, was one of the programs created under the CARES Act, and it distributed about $800 billion in 14 months, with $349 billion of that being sent out in just 13 days. That is beyond crazy to even process, and it should go without saying that verification and accuracy was not the main priority here, given the speed at which this insane amount of money was distributed. What the PPP loans were designed to do was act as a payroll for small businesses struggling to generate income during the shutdowns. The rules stated that at least 60% of the loan had to be spent on payroll, and the rest of it could be spent on other eligible expenses. If loan recipients followed these rules, then the loan was 100% forgivable, which means you didn't have to pay it back. The loan was also eligible to a wide range of people, including small businesses, which is under 500 employees, independent contractors, gig workers, some nonprofits, and sole proprietors. These loans were given out by private banks and other financial institutions, not the government itself. And the banks were allowed to rely on borrower self-certification of need. So anybody applying could just make up their income and payroll expenses, and the banks would just accept those numbers as facts due to the fact that real-time income verification was not required in the beginning. We also have to mention that the banks charged processing fees, so they were making money off of each application. I'm sure that played a part in the banks not being too pressed to verify which applications were authentic or not. So we have a loan that is 100% forgivable, allows borrowers to self-certify their own financial needs, and was made available to a very wide range of business owners, including sole proprietors with 0 employees outside of themselves. It should really come as no surprise that fraud was rampant with the PPP loans. The inclusion of sole proprietors was a major target for scammers to exploit because of the Schedule C loophole. At the beginning of the pandemic, these banks weren't using IRS transcript matching to verify submitted tax forms, and they were accepting uploaded PDF files as proof of financial need. What ended up happening was that scammers were submitting fabricated or altered Schedule C tax forms to inflate their reported income in order to maximize their loan amount. Some people didn't even have any actual businesses. They were creating dummy LLCs and then immediately submitting fraudulent tax forms just to get free money. Some even went so far as to apply for the PPP loan through multiple banks using these dummy LLCs. So if they got denied by one bank, they might get approved by another, or they could get approved for multiple loans for the same company. To avoid getting caught in the future, some scammers were using stolen identities to apply and then having the PPP funds transferred to prepaid debit cards that weren't in their names. And we're not talking about a couple $1,000s either. The first round of PPP loans was good for up to $10 million. The second round was good for up to $2 million. So in theory, a successful scammer could have gotten up to $12 million in loan money they didn't even actually need. Talk about a come up. And if you were wondering if people were actually getting away with this stuff, the answer is absolutely yes. It's estimated that $64 billion of PPP funds alone were stolen by scammers. But these are just abstract numbers. Let's talk about some real life cases of people making bank off the PPP hustle. One of these guys was 30-year-old Lee Price III. Price was a Houston, Texas resident who was also a habitual criminal offender. He had a 2010 conviction for forgery, a 2011 conviction for robbery, and in 2020, which is when the events of this story takes place, Price was on trial for tampering with government records. You would think that after 3 criminal cases, he would recognize that crime wasn't his thing. But you would be wrong. Lee Price wasn't a quitter. While fighting that tampering case in 2020, Price created 3 dummy LLCs to apply for the PPP loan with 2 different banks. He submitted the first loan on May 3rd, 2020, and he used the company called 713 Construction LLC to apply. Price stated this construction company had 30 employees and an average monthly payroll of $300,981. The bank ultimately approved him for and sent him about $750,000. Except 713 Construction LLC had 0 employees, 0 income, or payroll expenses. And Lee Price even used the identity of a deceased man to list as the CEO of that company. Just 7 days later, on May 10th, 2020, Lee Price submitted another PPP application with another bank using a business called Price Enterprises. I guess Price was feeling pretty cocky after securing the first fraudulent loan because he named this company after himself and listed himself as the CEO. On this application, Price stated that his company had 50 employees and a monthly payroll of $375,000. Unsurprisingly, this was another shell company with 0 employees and 0 expenses. He was able to be approved for about $900,000 for this loan. So in a matter of days, Lee Price III had become a millionaire, all by simply asking for it. The pandemic was truly the Wild West for fraud. 3 days after electronically signing for the funds of the second loan, Lee Price decided it was time to ball. He went and bought a $14,000 Rolex, and then the day after that, he purchased a 2019 Lamborghini Urus for $233,000. My man wasted no time at all. And this was common during the pandemic. People who ain't never had money were suddenly Gucci down to the socks, swerving around in brand new foreign whips. I mean, the shit was crazy. Lee Price wasn't done splurging either because he also bought a 2020 Ford F-350 for $85,000. He spent $2,000 at a Houston strip club, giving back to the strippers, more than $2,500 at nightclubs, over $700 at a liquor store, and he paid off the loan for a home, which, I mean, honestly is the only responsible thing he did with that money. What's really funny though is that I found a YouTube video where he's speaking about how he made most of his money investing in properties and whatnot, which is obviously not true. Be careful with who y'all listening to on this internet, man, because most of these dudes are selling y'all a bunch of lies. But, as they say, fake it till you make it. At some point, obviously, Lee Price began being investigated by the Federal Housing Finance Agency and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. Price was ultimately arrested in August of 2020 and was charged with wire fraud and money laundering, which he ended up pleading guilty to in 2021. He was sentenced to 110 months in federal prison, And he only had that PPP money for about 3 months before he was arrested, which is hilariously sad. But that's just one guy, right? Surely PPP fraud wasn't being committed by a bunch of people. Wrong. And that takes us to 30-year-old Charnay Every. Charnay was getting busy down in Louisiana because she prepared more than 110 fraudulent PPP loan applications for other people. But not only was she greedy, she was also very damn lazy. The way she got caught doing this is because the COVID-19 Pandemic Response Accountability Committee sent a referral of investigation regarding possible fraud due to the fact that all 110 plus PPP loan applications had the exact same fictitious business, which was Natural Afro Hair LLC, the exact same invoices, and the exact same federal Schedule C tax form. And all of these loan applications were coming from people around the Thibodaux, Louisiana area. That ain't scam likely. That's scam for sure. Charnay Every had a whole little operation down in Louisiana. She used social media sites like Facebook and Instagram to recruit people to apply for fraudulent PPP loans. She would prepare the applications for them using their identities, and she charged $120 up front. After the PPP funds hit their bank accounts, she would receive an additional $3,500 on the back end. She was doing this for about 2 years, which leads me to believe she likely would have gotten away with this if not for the fact she used the exact same LLC information for every application. She eventually got indicted in September of 2022 and pled guilty in 2023 for conspiracy to commit mail fraud. It was revealed that she and the other conspirators defrauded about $1.1 million from PPP funds, which means she was getting each of her clients roughly $100,000 per application. She made about $400,000 herself just by preparing these applications, which ain't bad at all, to be honest. In October of 2025, she was sentenced to 41 months in federal prison. Much like Lee Price III, Charnay Every had previous run-ins with the law because she had previously been charged with forgery and stealing the credit card information of customers at a restaurant she worked at in Louisiana. This is the perfect example of routine activity theory. Both Lee Price and Charnay Every were motivated offenders. They were already well versed in financial crimes. The PPP loans were the suitable target, and the fact that the government wasn't doing its due diligence in verifying loan applicants reveals there was an absence of a capable guardian. But the PPP loans weren't the only way that motivated offenders got over on the government during the pandemic. Trust me.